Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to another installment of the 2009 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We're here from Darlington for race number 4 of 36. It is the Food City Rebel 400 coming your way from one of NASCAR's most storied racetracks here today. Another Sunday event here in the Cup Series, but we're going to take you to the racetrack for your starting lineup in today's event. As on the pole, last week's winner, DJ Kennington, right off of where he started. He's going to be first, and to his outside is Robbie Gordon in the number 13 to make up your front row, all Chevrolet. Third place, that's going to be Shane Meal in the 47. Two of the Ginn cars in the top 5, both of them top 3. Fourth place, that's going to be Juan Pablo Montoya's number 31. In fifth, will be Clint Boyer in the 4, and to his outside is Kevin Harvick in the 20. Matt Kenseth starts this race in 7th, with 8th place going to Kurt Busch. Rookie Stephen Light, who's had just a fabulous start to this season, he is in 9th. And Marcos Ambrose in the 5 rounds out your top 10 to start today's race. Jimmy Johnson, the 2004 Cup Series champion, he is in 11th place with Rogelio Lopez, the rookie in the 99, to his outside. 13th is Denny Hamlin's number 25, and Tony Stewart in the 14th spot. 15th goes to Brad Coleman in the 6, not too far behind his teammate, and Jeff Gordon starts in the 16th position in the number 24. Casey Mears is in the 17th spot in the 28, with Elliott Sadler in 18th place. Todd Cleaver starts this race P number 19, with J.J. Yaley in 20th. 21st is Justin Allgaier, and to his outside is Greg Biffle in the 16. Casey Kane starts this race in 23rd, with Ryan Newman 24th. Scott Riggs will be in 25th, and Jason Leffler in 26th place. A.J. Allmendinger is in 27th, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting in 28th. Carl Edwards is in the 29th position, and Scott Steckley is P30. David Reagan for Brad Daugherty is in 31st, and 32nd is Boris Said. Morgan Shepherd in P33, with Ricky Hendricks number 02 in 34th. Reed Sorensen in 35th for the 36 team, and Jamie Murray in the 36th spot. 37th is Jeremy Mayfield, with Brad Keselowski in 38th. Kyle Busch starts in 39th, and to his outside is Eric Norris in the 51 in 40th. 41st is Scott Wimmer with TJ Bell in 42nd, and rounding out the field in the 22nd row in 43rd place is Norm Benning in the number 9 car. 43-car field, as always, here from Darlington. We're going to take you trackside for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from the Food City Rebel 400.
Drivers, start your engines.
Field comes to life as we get set to roll. 148 laps here from Darlington here tonight as DJ Kennington in the number 81 car off of his dominant win last time out at Atlanta. He leads us to the green this time here in Darlington from the pole. To his outside is the only driver that could even hold a candle to him last week at Atlanta. It's Robbie Gordon's number 13, so two drivers carrying a lot of momentum coming into race number 4 here from Darlington today.
And I think with Ginn and Innovative merging together, I mean, it just feels like that first win is right around the corner. Qualified 2nd and 3rd respectively. This is a tough racetrack, but one that both of these drivers have ran well at in the past. I would not be surprised at all to see them continue running up front throughout the course of this race. But they're all going to have to get past that 81 who has been red hot to start this season. He's a little further down in the point standings because of Daytona and crashing early or whatever happened there, but Atlanta, that was a huge, convincing, dominating win. I think it sets the tone for what that 81 is going to have speed-wise this year, and I think he backed that up here today.
Kennington won at this racetrack the last time we visited Darlington for the Southern 500 in the fall of last year, and he starts right back where he left off here in this facility in South Carolina. DJ Kennington and Robbie Gordon, the top two, going to lead us to it here. 148 laps is your race length today. Kennington to lead us to the green, and we are waiting for the signal here. Long hold from our starter, and there it is. We are underway. The Rebel 400 from Darlington is underway as Kennington, with a great jump, leads us into turn 1. And there you see the trouble of being on that outside lane at this racetrack as Robbie Gordon in the 13 drops all the way back to 4th from the outside pole. Other drivers starting on that outside dropping back even further. Shane Neal takes over the 2nd position. Behind Kennington, your early leader, Clint Boyer in 3rd. Aforementioned Robbie Gordon is in 4th, and Juan Pablo Montoya's 31 rounds out the top 5 after the opening lap.
Yeah, and you want to make your moves early while you still can. We've seen at this racetrack, passing becomes incredibly difficult on the long runs. So if you've got your tires warmed up and you think that your race car is really, really good, go try to make your moves now. So you don't have to wait and try to make those later in the going.
Robbie Gordon's taking that advice as he makes some headway back into P3 past the 4 Boyer, who gets stuck on the outside, drops all the way to his teammate Kenseth, who is unable to get underneath of him for the 5th position. Montoya passed into 4th. And there you see the trademark of this racetrack, getting caught on that outside lane. The lane here at this racetrack is so narrow. It is so hard to get around here cleanly, and there's really only one quick way around the racetrack. Turns 3 and 4, it's a little bit easier to run in different lines, but with the nature of 1 and 2, how fast it is, how narrow this track is, it's so hard to get through here cleanly, and you're seeing it right there with Boyer dropping backwards just on merit of being on the outside line going into turn 1. It is tricky to get around this facility.
Yeah, I mean, it's now side by side for 2nd between the teammates, Robbie Gordon and Shane Neal. As Montoya going to try to follow Robbie Gordon through in the ride that Robbie was previously in that 31. We haven't gotten a ton of chances to talk about Montoya yet this season. Somebody that really was looking for his next opportunity after leaving Red Bull. And I mean, this is a team with championship pedigree, and a team that, yeah, they might start off a little bit slower than expected, but once they gel together and once they start to mesh and everything makes sense, I expect this team to be up front week in and week out, just as they were with Robbie behind the wheel.
Yeah, and both of these guys at Childress that made the move from Red Bull, as we have mentioned quite a few times at the start of this season, have been off to a very good start in 2009. Montoya has been on the wrong foot a couple of times, but had some speed last weekend at Atlanta, and kind of building off of that momentum. It was a little bit of a rocky start for him, trying to find his way up through the field a couple of times with some slower qualifying sessions, but good qualifying today puts him in a good position, and this is a racetrack where you want to qualify well. Starting up front is so important at Darlington, and Montoya is doing a great job of running up at the top of this table here. He's trying to find his way forward and find that speed that he's had in years past, and he is doing a great job here today, putting the pressure on Robbie Gordon for the 2nd position here on lap 7, and he is going to take it to the inside off into turn 1.
I think the start of this season, especially recently, has been a reminder to the fan base and to everybody in this sport just how freaking good DJ Kennington is. Last year, Gibbs was a little bit down until the very end of the season. They finally had gotten their act together. DJ Kennington has started off this year red hot, probably the fastest driver in the series once again. Our 2007 champion, one of those guys that you have to look at as somebody that could potentially win at any racetrack. He excels everywhere, and I think last year people forgot a little bit just the type of level of driver that DJ Kennington is. But now this year with a red-hot Gibbs team in the 81, he's reminding the world exactly who he is.
Yeah, and it was just kind of that sophomore slump for the 81 car. Let us not forget that he is the only rookie champion in Cup Series history back in 2007, as you mentioned, beating the likes of Tony Stewart, one of the very best in the Cup Series right now for that championship, and still won a handful of races last year. As we mentioned, he was the Southern 500 winner in the 2008 season. Had a great year, all things considered, when Gibbs was down in the dumps a little bit at points in the year. So he's just trying to build off of that momentum. This team as a whole is just kind of trying to rebound, find their identity after they struggled a little bit with this merger with Haas now, just trying to find their way to the top of the table. Harvick has had a lot of good runs. He qualified well today. Edwards has been fast at points in the year to start off these first 3 races, and now in race number 4. So this is a team that is looking to springboard off of, in a similar way to 2007 into 2008, that Hendrick, their fellow Chevrolet team, did, where they struggled at the start of the year in the introduction to the Gen 5 and had to find their footing again and kind of found their way back to the top of the table in 2008, went and won that championship. This is a team that's having a similar story to them right now, and their star driver is showing the pace that they have had in this 2009 campaign so far.
And we've been talking about if you want to go win a championship, you got to beat the bow ties. And while Kurt Busch is leading the points, I think the Chevys have absolutely been the fastest cars on the racetrack by and large.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been another year where GM has been the stable to beat. The Pontiacs have been quick this year as well, and it has just been the stranglehold that they've had on the Cup Series since the turn of the century. This is a team as a whole that is so hard to beat. This OEM brings the best cars year in, year out. They've got some of the most powerhouse teams. Of course, talk about Gibbs, talk about Hendrick, Red Bull, who has made their charge to the top of the table with Pontiac, have been so competitive, and now adding the likes of Ginn's team, not to mention Childress, who have won championships with them in recent memory with Robbie Gordon. It is just so hard to beat these bow ties, as we have hammered in everybody's heads time and time again. And right now, the entire top 5 is all GM entries, and the top 4 all Chevrolets. Number 15 at the stripe, 4-year race leader DJ Kennington, who has led every lap so far here from Darlington. Right behind him, Robbie Gordon, a 13 car who ran second to him for a lot of last week at Atlanta. Montoya's number 31 is in third. Shane Meal still holding up fourth. And Clint Boyer, who is off to a great start in this race, he is in the 5th position. Kurt Busch making some headway. He was the winner of this race, the Rebel 400, last year, and finds his way towards the top of the table. And this is a driver that's worth talking about right here. Kurt Busch, when there's been a lot of questions around Ganassi and how their season is going to start off this year with a switch to Ford, with a little bit of struggles in the engine program still, despite the switch to these engines with Ford's program, Kurt Busch, top of the table, having a better start to a season than he has had in his entire career this year. And this is exactly what this Ganassi stable was hoping to see from him this year.
And I mean, he needs it. We've talked about over the years how Kurt gets so strong in the summertime. But the start of his seasons are usually fairly, I wouldn't say slow, but slow for his standards. And so we get to the summer and, he's 8th in points. And he is, playing catch up at that point. So to have a start like this and to be able to be leading the points 3 races in, of course, very early on, but if they're able to keep up this momentum and continue that summer stretch that they've had for the past few years, this could be Kurt Busch's year. It very well could.
Into the top 5 once again is Kurt Busch, and you look at his finishes of 7th, 5th, and 4th this year to get out of the Daytona 500 cleanly, to have 2 good races at Rockingham and Atlanta, and now come into another one of the more challenging tracks, a track that he won at last year. This race, as we mentioned, in 2008 was his last campaign. It's a great start for his season and for a team that there were a lot of question marks surrounding them coming into this year if they would have some growing pains making this switch to Ford. Taking the fight to these bow ties right now, and he is having a great start when everybody else in this series at this point, even as early as this point in the season, you usually expect pretty much every driver at the top of the standings to have had at least one thing go wrong for them at the start of the year. And so far, that has not been the story for Kurt Busch. Again, as you mentioned, it's only 3 races. So that's not a lot at all when you consider that we are just a 10th of the way into this season now. But Kurt Busch in this 01 car has had that fantastic start that you see. Last year, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon had that rocket fast start to the campaign that gave him the cushion to breathe a little bit in the championship battle at the end of the season. Had almost nothing go wrong for him at the start of last year. It's exactly what a championship campaign needs to start out like when you look at these last couple of seasons, as there's some tire marks and a wreck up in front of our leaders. And we're going to get a look at what seems to have happened here in turn one. Appears to have been towards the midfield here. And that was the 98 of Todd Cleaver, who appears to have gotten in the wall in turn one with help from Dale Jr.
It's like they were racing for the 26th spot. And Junior just really misjudges that. That was pretty bad. He went down into the corner.
And there was more than
just
that,
a little,
matter of fact.
Yeah. Somebody else.
I'd like to get a look at who that was. That was Kevin Harvick in the number 20 who got into the outside wall. And see if we can get a look back at what happened to him in turn one. This was for the 9th position between him and Marcos Ambrose.
That looks like a very similar story here. And Ambrose leans on him the whole way through the corner. I'm not sure what happened there and what may have caused that to go down, but
this will be our first caution of the race, with Harvick doing under 70 miles an hour against the outside wall in turn one. DJ Kennington will lead the field back to our first caution flag here on lap number 21. So his teammate involved with an incident with the 5 of Marcos Ambrose, but Kennington leads us back to the yellow. Robbie Gordon right behind that, Shane Meal, and then Kurt Busch, who is making a lot of headway up to 4th. And Clint Boyer rounding out the top 5 at our first caution of the day. Lap number 22, and a plenty of tire fall off for our leaders at a racetrack that loves to eat up these Goodyears. Would not be surprised at all to see the field down pit road here, and looking like that is going to be the case for everybody. So a busy pit road on lap number 22 here in Darlington, one of the most narrow pit lanes on the calendar. And Kennington going to lead everybody down for foreign fuel. See a couple other drivers who made some headway on that last run back there. Casey Kane in the 12, who didn't quite have the qualifying he would have hoped for, ended up a long way up the order, nearing the top 10 on that last run. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart also made some headway since the start of the race in those 20 laps that passed us by. Kennington, the 13 of Robbie Gordon and Shane Meal, all in order of their starting position at the front of this field, head in for foreign fuel. As our top 3 Chevrolets making their opening pit stops here. Good stop for Kurt Busch, trying to race Shane Meal coming off a pit road, but the order of the top 5 does not change as Shane Meal beats the 01 of Kurt Busch off for 3rd. DJ Kennington's number 81, the leader here in Darlington. We're going to take you to intermission. It's NASCAR on ESPN, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Darlington as we get set to go green this next time by DJ Kennington in the number 81 car, who's led every lap so far. Here from the Food City Rebel 400, starts in the lead. Behind him is Robbie Gordon, the number 13, and his teammate Shane Meal in third. Fourth place belonging to Kurt Busch, and Clint Boyer's number 4 in the fifth spot as we get set to go green. But Kennington coming off of a dominant win last time in Atlanta where he led well over 2/3 of that race. Once again dominating here in Darlington and has led every lap of this race to this point. Think back to Atlanta for this 81 car, it was 97 laps led in a 128 lap race. Has now led over 120 combined in the last two races as he sits out front here, but it's the same man who challenged him last weekend for the win in Atlanta, Robbie Gordon, who has been hot on his tail for a lot of this race. Just not quite able to get to the back bumper of the 81 car on that first run, but with some adjustments and fresh tires, see if any one of these guys in this top 5 are able to make something happen on this restart. Pace car going to peel in for DJ Kennington, the 81, in the lead. 13:47.014 behind your leader on the restart. Coming back to it. Pace car off. Headed towards the restart box is DJ Kennington. And we are underway. Green flag flies. Much better start for your second place starter, Robbie Gordon, this time. As we race over the bumps and into turn 1. Boyer took a look for fourth. Didn't quite have the head of steam to get underneath of Kurt Busch into turn 1. Field packed up as we head down the backstretch. And here comes Robbie Gordon. Knows this is his chance on the restart. He's going to take it to the bottom versus Kennington, but a nice drive by the 81 off and into turn 3. Keeps the lead. Kurt Busch taking a look underneath of Shane Meal for the third position down the front straightaway. Johnson stuck on the outside as Kane continues to make headway. Shane Meal ends up on the back foot on the outside. Kurt Busch to third, Boyer to fourth, Kane into the top 5 now in the 12. And Kurt Busch's teammate, Tony Stewart, who has made a lot of ground up since the start of this race, he's into the 8th position in the 42. Down the front straightaway, Kurt Busch, who's quickly looking like he's got one of the best cars in this race, pulls into the mix. The top 3 all under a blanket for the race lead now as Kurt Busch piling a lot of pressure on the back bumper of Robbie Gordon for second. Busch going to bide his time here against Gordon for the second spot. Maybe try to set him up coming out of turn 4 and into turn 1. Good exit. Kane side by side back there with Tony Stewart. And here comes Kurt Busch down underneath of Robbie Gordon, continuing to make moves. And he's into the second position as Boyer follows him for third. But a fantastic restart for Kurt Busch, who moves all the way up into the second spot. And these two a long way clear thanks to that battle behind for P3. Boyer into the third position. Robbie Gordon in fourth, now trying to fend for his life with Tony Stewart, who has also been mighty quick on this run, trying to take over the fourth position. Shane Meal behind that. And Jimmy Johnson's 48, followed by his teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24. Three Hendrick cars in a row. Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Marcos Ambrose have to go a bit of a ways back to Denny Hamlin in 18th, now 17th, to find the fourth and final Hendrick entry. We're all running pretty well today. Kennington's still in the lead on lap number 31, but Kurt Busch might be the first challenger for the lead here today in Darlington. Lap number 33, Kennington. Busch under fire from Boyer this time as the 4 finds a bit of steam here. After a couple of laps since the restart, again, Tony Stewart still starting to lurk in that 42 car. Then in the top 5 now is Jimmy Johnson's number 48. Shane Meal in 6th, Jeff Gordon in 7th, Ambrose 8th. Making up your top group is Kennington. Still a comfortable lead for the moment, but Kurt Busch finds a little bit of grit there. That last lap trying to run him down for the lead and make himself the first leader not driving the 81 car. Three drivers under a blanket for the lead again, though this time Busch in 2nd position, and the 13 of Robbie Gordon swapped for Boyer's number 4. Busch again closing through turns 1 and 2. As the 43 of Kyle Busch has a problem, and it is another Dodge engine failure. Kyle Busch with an issue. He is going to retire from this race, and the second caution of the night comes out right as Kurt Busch was thinking about making a run at Kennington for the lead. Lap number 35 is our second yellow of the day. And now a little bit less of a lap count since that last restart. Might see some go for 2, some go for none. Some drivers stay out here. And of course, already a second of tire fall off on that run for your leaders. Kennington will head for pit road, looking like everybody else will follow. Second caution of the race, DJ Kennington to lead the field to pit road on lap number 36. Still led every lap so far here today. And he's hoping to keep it that way with that dominant 81 car out in front here in Darlington. Kurt Busch in for his tires and fuel. Keep an eye on our pit report box here to see if anybody elects to go for 2 tires. I would be surprised by it, given the tire fall off here. Kurt Busch off the jack. And a long hold thanks to traffic. That's his teammate Tony Stewart who's going to beat him out of pit road. Here comes Kennington off the jack. He's out and away and holds the race lead. And it's Tony Stewart with a nice pit stop who moves into the 2nd position. 3rd belonging to Kurt Busch. Boyer and Johnson after that. Lap number 37 here from Darlington. It's the Food City Rebel 400. We're going to take it to intermission. We'll be right back here from NASCAR on ESPN. Back from intermission here at Darlington as we get set to go green. DJ Kennington in the number 81 car led every lap so far here from the Rebel 400. He's in the lead still. Behind him, Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch make a swap for the second position. Stewart in second and Kurt Busch down to third on that last pit stop. Clint Boyer in fourth and Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car rounds out the top 5 on the restart here. Be lap number 40 when we go back green. Kennington's got his 2 fastest challengers so far today behind him, the 2 Ganassi cars who have made a lot of headway throughout the course of this race. Kurt Busch was looking like he might be primed to take over that race lead before our last caution. But Kennington able to get 4 tires and fuel back on his race car as we get set to go green once again. Long way left to go here in Darlington. Lap number 40 at the stripe for our race leader, Kennington. Pace car peels off. Kennington, Stewart, Kurt Busch. All of these quick cars up at the front of this table. Don't count out the 4 or the 48 either. Headed towards the restart box here. And green flag is back in the air. Another good start for our leader, Kennington, though Stewart and Kurt Busch certainly not caught sleeping there on the restart. Another good start for Boyer in the 4 from the 4th position. Kurt Busch took a look at his teammate into 1, couldn't make anything happen. Ooh, Boyer a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 2 that time. Busch takes a look underneath of his teammate for the runner-up spot here into turn 3. Knows he's got a good car on these starts. Had a great restart last time. Just trying to hang tight underneath of Stewart into turn 1, but just could not quite do it. Jimmy Johnson ends up the auto one out. Again, Busch trying to force Stewart wide coming out of turn 2. He's made a couple of attempts at some unorthodox positions for that runner-up spot, but nothing doing for him. That puts Boyer and now Jeff Gordon on his back bumper for the 3rd spot coming out of turn number 4. Another good run in this time into turn 1. Kurt Busch down to the bottom. He'll take over the runner-up spot. Boyer and Jeff Gordon looking to follow behind, but Kurt Busch once again with some clean air trying to catch up to the 81 of Kennington for the lead. Boyer with a lot of pressure on, piled to the back of Kurt Busch here on lap number 43. 4-car is no slouch and has remained in this top 5 for the entirety of this race. Looking for second, but going to be patient with this 01 into turn 1 this time. As Kennington still with that comfortable race lead. Boyer with another exit coming out of turn 4. Does he take it to the bottom this time? No. Veteran move here by Clint Boyer, biding his time just a little bit. Still early going and over 100 laps left here in Darlington. And a train starting to form behind this 01 car for the 2nd spot. Lap number 46 here from the Rebel 400. DJ Kennington, your comfortable race leader here on NASCAR on ESPN. I'm going to shut my trap, let you listen to some engines and nothing more. It's Crank It Up on NASCAR and ESPN. It's a McDonald's visor cam on board the 19 of Carl Edwards, who is quite frankly right in the middle of the Hornets' nest. He's down in the 25th position right now in that number 19. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Lap number 53 here from Darlington as we continue our way through. Kurt Busch still not quite able to run down that 81 of DJ Kennington the way he was on the last run, and the 81 still comfortable out front and has led every lap of the Rebel 400 here tonight. Behind Kurt Busch is still Clint Boyer's number 4, who has been mighty patient with this 01 car on this run. Jeff Gordon is in the 4th position, and rounding out the top 5 is Shane Meal in front of Jimmy Johnson's number 48. This 81 car, this last 2 weeks have just been untouchable. Led nearly 100 laps back in Atlanta in a 120 or so lap race, and here today another 54 laps led so far of 54 laps completed. Has just been on another planet to start off this season so far, but he's got another driver who's been on another planet to start this year, and that is the 01 of Kurt Busch, who's in second, but Kennington is continuing to open up that gap, another couple tenths added for the race lead. 3-car battle for second between Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, and Jeff Gordon. And I'm sure that 4 would love to get around Kurt Busch here on this run, as he has just been unable to make anything happen for the runner-up spot. And the 24 Gordon has been right on his tail this entire time. And we're seeing some long run speed out of this 81 that we hadn't really been able to witness on the last couple of shorter runs that we've seen in this race so far. And Kennington is just leaving everybody behind right now. First traffic starting to find the horizon for Kennington. Norm Benning's number 9 car is just about a straightaway in front of our leader at the moment. Around 20 laps elapsed since we last went green. Still this battle for P2. Kurt Busch putting a little bit of a gap to Boyer's number 4 the last couple of laps, but none of them able to run the same lap times the 81 of Kennington has. As we take a look at our gap for the race lead, which has opened up to over a second now. As the tire fall off continues, nearing 2.5 seconds of rubber versus the best laps of the race for our leaders. And that'll continue to get worse as these guys are running these tires out. Of course, we talk about the tire wear at this racetrack, so that pit stop is going to be pretty important for these guys. How they plan to go about it, if they decide to pit early, late, what the move's going to be. Boyer still.
Kennington. He's so far out front at this point to where he's really got free reign on when he wants to pit or when he doesn't want to. So he's not going to be impeded by traffic most likely. So at any point he can decide to pull down pit road, and that'll dictate what the rest of the field does.
Kurt Busch has ran a couple of good corners to try and reel this 81 car back in. Gained a couple of tenths those last 2 laps. Boyer, of course, still hanging on him for that second position, but has been unable to make a move just yet. Jimmy Johnson has moved into the top 5 in the number 48 past Shane Meal. Denny Hamlin's number 25 continuing to run well in this race in the 8th position. Ricky Hendrick, who's had a fantastic recovery after qualifying, in the 7th position in the number 02. Stephen Light, another top 10 run for the 18. Casey Kane and Tony Stewart have been battling for the 10th position, currently belonging to the number 12, taking lap 64. But it has just been another dominant race car brought out of Coach Gibbs' shop for this 81 team. And of course, Kurt Busch and Boyer aren't slow enough to the point that they're out of this race just yet. In fact, Kurt Busch had reeled Kennington in a couple of times these last couple of laps. Very similar lap times, just 7 thousandths of a second difference between the 01 and the 81, as there's a car in the wall in turn number 2. Going to take a look at the incident that just happened here. And it was the 89 of Morgan Shepherd off of the bumper of Reed Sorensen's number 36. Just a similar story to the 5 and the 20 earlier in the 36, trying to get down off of Morgan Shepherd, but Shepherd sideways up top, and that is going to result in our 3rd caution of the race. With Morgan Shepherd in the outside wall, that'll reset everybody again. Couple of these 20 lap or so runs split up by these incidents, and DJ Kennington going to lead the field to the 3rd caution of the race here in Darlington. Third caution of the race, second for an incident in turns 1 and 2, both very similar to each other. One other caution was Kyle Busch's engine failure near lap 35. Lap 66 is the count now for DJ Kennington, who's going to take the field down pit road for a 3rd time in this race. And down pit road goes the field. Kennington in. There goes Ricky Hendricks, number 02, one of the earlier pit boxes with his qualifying position. See if Kurt Busch can put together a little bit of a better pit stop this time without the interference of his teammate and having to hold for him leaving pit road. Busch in for 4 in fuel, Kennington in further up the road. As we focus on the 01 of Kurt Busch and his pit stop here. And a great pit stop for the 24 of Jeff Gordon, racing with Kurt Busch off of pit road. The 01 is just going to hold him off, and Kennington is going to have to hold, and Kurt Busch wins the race off of pit road. Perfectly executed pit stop, and Kennington didn't have it done this time. A little bit slower, and that's the difference. And Kurt Busch finally got ourselves a new leader as the 01 takes over off of pit road. We're going to take you to intermission. It's NASCAR and ESPN from the Rebel 400 at Darlington, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here at Darlington as we get set to go green with Kurt Busch's number 01 in the lead following pit stops. A miscue on pit road for DJ Kennington. Finally takes the 81 car out of the lead here today. Puts Kurt Busch's 01 in prime position. Jeff Gordon in the 24 restarts in the second position. Good stop for Johnson, puts him third. Boyer drops down to the fourth spot. And DJ Kennington will round out the top five, coming to the green this time. Busch in first. He's had the car to do it for portions of this race. See what he can do with a little bit of clean air on this restart. It'll be lap number 70 when we go green. And the target Ford now in the lead. Pace car peeling off on the left for our leaders here. And a long run down to the restart box for Kurt Busch in the 01. Two Hendrick cars behind him. Got a swarm of GM entries in the top 10 trailing this 01 car. First non-Chevrolet or Pontiac is J.J. Yaley's number 10. Green flag flies. Great start for the top two. Jimmy Johnson didn't quite get off on the right foot, but Boyer didn't either as we head into turn number 1. Everybody all single file up front. Jeff Gordon putting a little bit of pressure on coming out of turn 2 here. But it's Jimmy Johnson down to the bottom making the move for the second spot behind Kurt Busch. The two Hendrick teammates go side by side. And Jimmy Johnson with a clean move into second place. Kennington already trying to make headway on the bottom. Couldn't quite stay underneath of Clint Boyer for fourth. Rest of the group under a blanket as the 48 runs up on Kurt Busch for the lead. Jeff Gordon not far behind that after getting caught napping there by his teammate who has just ran away from him. And here comes Jimmy Johnson's number 48 down on the bottom in turn 1, and he's going to take over the race lead. Busch into the clutches of Jeff Gordon's 24 down the back straightaway. And Gordon with a nice drive down on the bottom into turn 3 to clear him for second. Boyer looking for third. And now the Hendrick teammates are 1-2. Boyer trying to force Kurt Busch high, can't do it. Instead, Casey Kane gets underneath of Denny Hamlin. That's for sixth. How about Scott Wimmer, who started in the bottom 3, finding his way into the top 10 to join his teammate up front. Trying to race with Denny Hamlin now for the 8th spot. Down the front straightaway, Jamie McMurray, another car who started way down the order, finds his way to the top of the table. Elliott Sadler making some headway in the number 8. Now you're seeing at the midpoint of this race, some drivers starting to make their way out towards the front of the field that weren't here earlier. And Jeff Gordon gets dropped for second. That's Kurt Busch in the 01 retaking the runner-up position with Jimmy Johnson, who's kind of proven that the clean air has been the ordeal that everybody wants today. Kennington, of course, running away with the lead on the last run. Now comfortably leading here just past as we hit at the line that last time by our halfway mark here in today's race. Boyer under fire from Kennington, who's trying to recover from the pit stop miscue. Behind that, Casey Kane in 6th. 7th is Wimmer. 8th is Ricky Hendrick. McMurray to 9th, and Elliott Sadler into the top 10. Behind that, Stephen Light 11th with his impressive run in today's race. And Montoya is number 31, who is trying to recover from some pit stop miscues in today's race as well. Rough go around for Robbie Gordon in the 13, who has been mired in traffic after starting this race on the right foot. Same for the 5 of Marcos Ambrose after the first caution of the race that he was the cause of. 47 of Shane Meal, also no better luck in this race. As we continue our run up front, Johnson slowly getting reeled back in by the 01 of Kurt Busch here on this run. Trying to run him back down for the lead. Kennington still on the back bumper of Boyer for third. Jeff Gordon joins the fray for that position as those 3 cars are under a blanket behind our leaders, as Kurt Busch with a big run coming out of turn 4. And he's going to take it to the bottom. Battle for the lead back underway. Here comes Kurt Busch down on the inside. And on lap number 79, the 01 of Kurt Busch retakes the race lead. Johnson back down to second. Kurt Busch in the 01, the 48, the 4, the 81, the 24, all in a train up at the front of this field. Still have not much a clue of how long our pit window is. We've had a caution on average about every 25 laps so far in this race. Going green this last time on lap number 70. And Johnson with a big run out of turn 4. The battle for the lead continues, and here comes the 48 back down on the inside. A counterattack from the Lowe's 48. And Jimmy Johnson back into the race lead as Kurt Busch now has to fend off Clint Boyer for second. Boyer unable to stay in the throttle on the bottom coming out of 2, and Kurt Busch retains the runner-up spot. But for how long? Is anybody going to make a move into turn 1 this time? Good run by Kennington on Boyer for the 3rd position. Takes a look, and he's going to get to the bottom. DJ Kennington underneath of Boyer. He moves back into 3rd. Jeff Gordon following suit into the 4th spot. And here comes Casey Kane's number 12 to make a challenge for a top 5. Not to mention the 04 of Scott Wimmer, again starting way down the order in today's race. He's made an impressive comeback drive, and he might have a shot at a top 5 today. Does Kennington have the stuff to run back up into the lead after losing it for the first time in today's race? That is the question for this 81 team right now. Johnson's got a comfortable lead now over Kurt Busch in the 01. Kennington trying to set up this 01 and take over the runner-up spot. Good run out of 4. But does not quite have enough of a run to take it to the inside in turn 1. Johnson, Busch, Kennington, Gordon now back there for 5th. Kennington really sideways coming out of turn 2 that time. Boyer still in 5th, leading a pair of Pontiacs behind him. Kane and his teammate Wimmer in the 04. Behind that, another Pontiac is the 02 of Ricky Hendrick. And Montoya re-enters the top 10 in 9th, ahead of his teammate Sadler, who's now in the 10th position. Kurt Busch pulling away from Kennington just a little bit that last time by, thanks to Kennington's misstep in turn 2. Gives him some breathing room and the chance to focus on trying to run Johnson back down for the race lead. But just a marvelous 3 and 4 by Kennington this time. Run down the front stretch. Does he get to the back bumper and to the inside? He gets to the back bumper, not to the inside. Another good job by Kurt Busch to stay in front going into turn 1. And Kennington again out of throttle a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2. Maybe nursing a little bit of a loose race car on this run. It's been just a little bit sideways. That's allowed Kurt Busch to stay in this 2nd position a couple of times now, with Kennington making some mistakes and stepping sideways. Seeing him breathe some flames, trying to keep it underneath him coming out of the throttle in turns 1 and 2 a couple of times now. But again, a great run by Kennington, this time out of turn 2. Does he take it to the inside in 3? Again, patience by Kennington in the 81 car. Maybe trying to help Kurt Busch up to this leader a little bit, make it a little bit easier for him to take over. If Kurt Busch can get underneath of Jimmie Johnson going into turn 1 in a couple of laps, that would give Kennington an easy chance pass. No, never mind. Kennington out of patience this time and into turn 1. The 81 into the second position now as he looks to run down Johnson for the lead. And what a set of corners for DJ Kennington, but he got sideways again coming out of turn 2. That allows Johnson a little bit of breathing room for the lead over the dominant car of this race. And Kurt Busch with a big run out of turn 2. Does he counterattack? He does! Battle for second rages on, and down into turn 1 this time. Kurt Busch, a huge dive. And the 01 rifles right back past Kennington for the second spot. Jeff Gordon into the third position. Kennington got aggressive going into turn 3, but Jeff Gordon with a nice block down on the bottom to force him behind. Keeps Kennington at bay. That puts the 81 in the clutches of Clint Boyer's number 4. Casey Kane in the mix. Wimmer dropped off a little bit on this run, still 7th. Johnson still comfortably in the lead. "90 laps completed here in Darlington in the Food City Rebel 400. Jimmie Johnson now finds himself the late dominant car, but not without a challenge. Kurt Busch in the 01, who has been so lightning fast to start this year, is still in his tire tracks. He's got a lot of headway to make back up after that heated battle with DJ Kennington for the second spot, and a pit stop still looming for our leaders. Kurt Busch still doing what he can to try to run this 48 back down, but that battle definitely took its toll on his tires. Fighting with Kennington for the runner-up spot. Still Jeff Gordon in 3rd. 4th Kennington, 5th Boyer. The same order it was a handful of laps ago after they got past Kennington for the second position. Long race coming to a close. And Johnson with engine trouble from the lead. I can't believe it. An issue for Jimmie Johnson from P1. And that is going to be the end of his race. Something amiss on the 48 car from P1. And Johnson is forced to retire from the lead. An unbelievable turn of events, and Kurt Busch now takes over the top spot. So now your top 5: Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, DJ Kennington, Clint Boyer, and the 12 of Casey Kane in the mix. 4 cars under a blanket for second as Kurt Busch now sits in his comfortable lead. And suddenly things turn over on its head, and DJ Kennington, dominant car of the early race, is going to drop down pit road. And he'll cover the undercut. We take a look back at when we last went green. Was on lap number 70 that we took the green flag. So a little over 25 laps for the field here. Plenty of pit stops still on the horizon. Kurt Busch is going to come in from the lead. Jeff Gordon and Casey Kane follow. Clint Boyer will stay out to lead his first lap of the race. A little bit of points racing here for the 4, trying to get those 5 bonus points on the board, and he's going to do exactly that. And taking a look at our pit stop schedule, will be 124-ish, about 120 to 124, our final pit window. And should just barely take these guys to the end of the race for the earliest of pitters. Saw Kennington come in on lap number 95. Should be good to the end. Boyer from the lead into pit lane. There goes DJ Kennington on his undercut strategy. Going to make up a lot of time thanks to his fresh rubber. You saw Casey Kane's number 12 down on the bottom there. There's Jeff Gordon, and there's Kurt Busch. And DJ Kennington with the undercut is going to take over the net race lead on lap number 97. Kurt Busch will have the fresher tires by a little bit of a margin here on DJ Kennington. Maybe a couple tenths of a second better on the long run. But the dominant car back out into the lead with the pit strategy, trying to put himself in position to win this race. There's Clint Boyer leaving pit road. Was your previous leader. Oh, and a collision. That is Stephen Light's number 18. And Ryan Newman around as well. And that is going to be another caution. 4th caution of the day comes out right after we conclude our pit cycle. And some heavily damaged cars. 38 of Ryan Newman involved in it, leaving pit road. As we take a look at what happened here between, I believe, the 38, the 5, and some others. Looked like it most likely happened further up the road. It was the 18 of Stephen Light with his teammate, Jason Leffler. These two were racing out of pit road side by side. And Stephen Light, who's had such a good start to the season, Leffler gets into him and spins him around. Mears in the 28 involved in it, and then nowhere for traffic to go as Light slid down the track right into Ryan Newman. Ambrose and the 9 of Norm Benning involved in it as well. That brings out our 4th caution of the race. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody comes in here. Does not look like that was the case. That was our open pit road opportunity that time by, and we did not have any pitters. They were not damaged, that is. So a little bit of a shake-up at the top of the field. DJ Kennington takes over the race lead. Kurt Busch in the 01. Jeff Gordon in the 24 make up your top 3. Then it's Ricky Hendricks, number 02, and Casey Kane in the 12 to round out the top 5 on lap number 100. We're going to take it to intermission. It's NASCAR and ESPN here from the Food City Rebel 400, and we will be right back here from Darlington. Back from intermission here at Darlington as we get set to go green this time by. DJ Kennington on the slightly older tires takes over the lead with the undercut on our last pit cycle that took place just before our fourth caution of the race. Kurt Busch in the 01 car, who had the lead before the cycle, now in the second position. Jeff Gordon's 24 is in third. Undercut for the 02 of Ricky Hendrick, who moves into the fourth position. And Casey Kane's number 12 rounds out the top five. Behind that, the two Morgan McClure teammates are in 6th and 7th position. Sadler 8th, Denny Hamlin 9th, and Jeremy Mayfield a nice run. He's in the top 10 in the number 44 as we bring it to the restart on lap number 103 this time by. Still one pit stop remaining in this race. Would expect it to be around now with this caution period around lap 125. Just over 20 laps to the end of the race after that. Pace car going to peel in on the left. DJ Kennington in the N1 is going to be your race leader on the restart here. The long run down to the restart box for the 81, the 01. At the front of this field, Kennington in the lead. Waiting, and green flag flies, and we are back underway. Good start for the top three. Ricky Hendrick a little bit squirrely on the restart. Kane didn't get going too well either in the 12 behind his teammate. Good start for Kennington. Kurt Busch trying to pile the pressure on. Who jumps down first? Jeff Gordon a run down the backstretch, but he's going to bide his time. Bumper to bumper to bumper are the leaders. Good run out of turn 4 by Kennington to hold the 01 behind. Ricky Hendrick in the 02 up to the back of his ex-teammate Jeff Gordon, though nothing doing there. Busch with a nice run coming out of turn 2. Jeff Gordon a big run in the 24 as well. Who jumps down first? It's going to be Kurt Busch underneath the DJ Kennington down into turn 3. Trying to make it stick on the bottom on the wrong end of the racetrack, but he makes it work and Kurt Busch takes over the race lead. Kane under his teammate moves into 4th. Hendrick up the track, now into the clutches of the Morgan McClure duo. That duo slips by. Elliott Sadler in the 8 underneath the 02. Denny Hamlin behind that as they go side by side. That's for the 7th spot. Sadler continuing his hot start to 2009. Busch in control. Kennington, the dominant car of the early race, right behind him. Casey Kane in the number 12. He moves past Jeff Gordon, and don't look now. Here comes Scott Wimmer into the 4th position. DJ Kennington with that undercut and this caution might have found himself on the wrong end of history, and Casey Kane on the right end of it. The 12 right underneath the DJ Kennington, and now suddenly the Verizon 12 car has himself in the runner-up spot, running down our leader Kurt Busch for the top spot. Wimmer and Boyer bumper to bumper, and the 4 of Boyer going to go underneath of his teammate for the 4th position, takes it over. Jeff Gordon moves back into the top 5 past him. Elliott Sadler with a chance to move forward. He's in the 7th spot looking for 6 versus this 04. His teammate Juan Pablo Montoya a spot behind that in 8th. Kane in the 12, running down Kurt Busch for the lead. 40 laps to go at the line. And it's on for the lead between the 01 and the 12. Kane, who's found himself up front at the trickiest of racetracks on this calendar, won last season at Bristol in dominant fashion in the final third of that race. Seemed like he flipped a switch for Penske at the end of the 2008 season, hoping to build some momentum into 2009. Behind, Boyer in the 4 underneath the Kennington, trying to mount one last late race charge. He's been lurking in the top 5 all day and night. And he moves into the third spot. It's a 3-horse race here in Darlington, and here comes Clint Boyer up the back bumper of Kane. Gonna bide his time. Everybody knows to tail at the front of this field. 3 cars under a blanket for the lead here in Darlington. Boyer sideways. Kane no pressure out back. Gonna wait, try and set Kurt Busch up coming out of turn number 4. And he's got a big run coming down the front straightaway, but he got sideways as well. Kennington lurking in the 81. Boyer up the back bumper of the 12. No move into 3 by Boyer. Jeff Gordon ahead of Scott Wimmer. 3-car train is Elliott Sadler, Montoya, and Tony Stewart trying to bring it back to the top of the table late. Robbie Gordon with a huge recovery drive from sub-35th back into the top 10 as he works his way past A.J. Allmendinger. Kane under pressure from Boyer. No move by the 4 just yet. Kane still trying to find his way back to the bumper of Kurt Busch. He was so close to getting it set up coming out of turn 4, but carried just a little bit too much speed. Got sideways, had to come out of the throttle, backed him up back to Boyer's number 4 car. Kennington not out of the picture, nor is Jeff Gordon. One more pit stop about 10 laps from now, still lurking for your leaders. Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, Kennington, all within a shouting chance of winning this race late. Kurt Busch in control. Kane, who's clawed his way through the field here today, with a chance to make something happen. Kennington up to the back bumper of Boyer's number 4 into turn 3. All of them biding their time. Talk about how hard it is to make moves on old tires at this racetrack. Nobody wants to budge and take that risk. Kane with a great entry to turn 1, closing in on Kurt Busch in the 01. Boyer sideways out of 2 again. No pressure for Kane now. But a great 3 and 4 brings Boyer back up to Kane for the 2nd spot. But again, going to give some assistance to his Pontiac Alliance. Strength comes in numbers. He's going to give the shove to Kane. Still doesn't want to make that move for the 2nd spot. Even though he's been on his bumper this whole time, I think Boyer might have a little bit of a better car here. But he just has not made that move just yet. Kane, another great exit out of 4. Boyer, an even better one. Still nothing doing. Traffic ahead. The 5 of Marcos Ambrose. This is going to back everybody up coming out of turn number 2. Busch gets down. Boyer trying to force Kane high. He will. Busch didn't stay underneath of the 5. But this time going to get underneath of him going into turn 1. Boyer will do the same. Kane forced to the outside. Not where you want to be if you're the 12. Brings Montoya up into the mix. And the top 2 break away. Now it's Kurt Busch and Clint Boyer. Ambrose to retire from the race. Stephen Light's number 18 will do the same. So Traffic giving a helping hand to the 4 of Clint Boyer, who is finally home free and immediately on the back bumper of Kurt Busch for the lead, closing in on our final pit stop. Kennington to 3rd, Kane in 4th, Wimmer 5th, Jeff Gordon 6th, Stewart 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is Sadler, Robbie Gordon, and Montoya. Boyer right there on the 01 of Kurt Busch. Trying to set him up out of turn 4. Does he have the momentum this time? Right on the back bumper, but still no move. Taking a look in the middle of 1 and 2. Can't find the traction. Gonna have to build that run coming out of turn 4 if he wants to make this move. Just cannot seem to find it in turns 3 and 4. Kurt Busch a better set of corners that time to put a car length between him and Boyer, but again through 1 and 2, the 4 right back up to him. These are the fresh tires working in the favor of Boyer's number 4 car. But the big thing is that he has ran out of time to take advantage of them if he does get the lead, because that final pit stop is going to be in just a couple of laps. Takes a look into turn 1 this time, and he's finally going to do it on lap 125. New leader, Clint Boyer, into the point. Kennington takes his leave. Lap number 125, our final pit cycle begins. Kennington looking for the undercut. Clint Boyer with the extra fuel, the extra tire is going to go a little longer. Would expect to see Kurt Busch in this time, though I would not be surprised if Boyer tries to cover this undercut. .126.23 to go. Here comes Kurt Busch. Kane in, Wimmer in, the 13 of Robbie Gordon into the pits. Stewart stays out, and so does Boyer. Clean pit lane, 4 tires and fuel for Kennington. And he's off the jack and away. And this time through, here comes, never mind, Clint Boyer going even longer on his fuel and tires. Kurt Busch in, up on the jack. And Kurt Busch is away, clean exit for him. There's Kane's number 12 right behind. Waiting to see the 81 of Kennington. If he comes along at all, there he is. Busch gonna have to race him, leaving pit lane. He's on better tires. Kennington with the undercut again. He's gonna take over what could be the net race lead. And with the 4 of Boyer going extra long, that very well will. A lot of traffic in the pits for the 4. But he makes it into his pit box cleanly. 4 in fuel for Clint Boyer, your current race leader with 20 to go He's going to have to make up a lot of time on fresher tires here. This overcut is really going to hurt him short term. And you saw how he struggled to make a lot of passes on that run. There goes Kennington. And your new race leader, Kennington, who has been dominating the early portion of this race with the undercut, finds himself back in the race lead. Does Kurt Busch have enough time with better tires to get back to Kennington, or is this DJ's race? Bowyer finds himself a long way down the order. He's got 19 laps to make up some time. Busch under pressure from Casey Kane, but closing on the leader, Kennington. Three-tenths of a second in the favor of the 01 of Kurt Busch that time. And he is closing in a shocking hurry. Bowyer off to the races in his number 4. Mayfield in the 44, an impressive run. Would love to shout him out in the top 10. Bowyer passed him, closing on Elliott Sadler. Got way too much track to make up. And here is Kurt Busch for the race lead in turn 3. And just like that, Kurt Busch back to the top spot here in Darlington. But don't look now. Casey Kane in the 12 on the same strategy as him. Just a handful of car lengths behind. Kennington hasn't given up the ghost just yet. Still on the back bumper of the 01 through turns 3 and 4. But this time a great corner by Kurt Busch, starting to scamper away. Does Kane have what it takes to bring the fight to him? Wimmer in 4th, not out of the picture if something goes wrong or we have a late race yellow. Kennington falling away. Kane not able to make any headway. Kurt Busch scooting away with it here in Darlington. Kennington and Kane still not quite out of the picture just yet. It'll be just 12 to go at the line this time for Kurt Busch. Kennington finding some speed on those older tires. He's not out of the picture just yet. "11 laps left. Bowyer on fresh tires, but needs a caution to put him back in the picture of this race. Kennington a little loose coming out of turn 2. 10 to go at the line. Another great 3 and 4 for the 81 car. Right on the back bumper. Bowyer not making enough headway to get back up here on his fresh tires. Kane dropping out of the picture that last lap. Kennington again better through 3 and 4. That's the end of the racetrack. You want to be working it. If you want to make that pass into turn 1, he's looked better that section that last couple of times. Again on the back bumper. Not close enough to make the move. Again out of throttle in turn 2. Kurt Busch with that better exit down the back stretch. Bowyer doing everything he can, but running out of time. Kennington drops away that lap. 8 to go for Kurt Busch. And again, in 3 and 4, a great corner by Kennington. Another good one by Kane to bring him back up into the picture. But he needs to get past DJ Kennington if he wants a shot to win this race. You see it there. Kurt Busch still just better coming out of turn 2 than Kennington is. But this is the end of the racetrack, where Kennington has been better than the 01 through turns 3 and 4. On this run, has worked these corners better, but this time Kurt Busch does a little bit better than he has been. 6 to go. Bowyer up to his teammate. Had to make quick work of him and did not do it. No traffic right now for the leaders. That'll very well end Bowyer's chances of winning this race without a yellow flag. 5 to go for Kurt Busch. Coming by this time, a yellow flag would end this race. Kennington again, a good run down the front straightaway to run down Kurt Busch for the lead with 4 to go. Kane on the back bumper of the 81, still unable to make that move, but he's going to go to the bottom in turn 3 this time. But Kennington outdrives him on entry. Three more. Busch in control and with the advantage. Kennington just not going away. We've seen last lap passes at this track in the past. Could there be another one brewing today? Does Kennington have that last bit of grip in his good years? Two more laps. And here comes Kasey Kahne for the runner-up spot. And he's going to get it done. Does Kane have the chance to get to the 01? Stayed in the throttle out of 2. Closing on the 01 of Kurt Busch into turn 3. Does Kane have a chance at Kurt Busch on the last lap? It'll have to be in turn 3 next time. White flag waves one more time at Darlington. Better run through turn 1 for Kasey Kahne. Can he get to the inside? Not quite there yet. Down the backstretch for the final time. Kurt Busch versus Kasey Kahne for the win. He's not going to get there. Kurt Busch in the 0-1 makes it a 4th Darlington win, his 3rd in this race. He takes the checkered flag at Darlington. A thriller of a finish as Casey Kane just could not get it done. Maybe if he had another lap. DJ Kennington finishes in 3rd, 4th belonging to Wimmer, and an incredible recovery drive for Robbie Gordon to round out the top 5. What a race. And Kurt Busch just barely able to hold on here tonight. A long and arduous race comes to an end, and Kurt Busch, for the 2nd year in a row, wins it at Darlington. And his 3rd win in the spring Darlington race. His first career win came back at this racetrack in 2002. And over 20 of them later, he gets another one here today. A tight finish between these top 2. If Kane could have maybe disposed of Kennington a couple of laps earlier, might have had that chance, but it wasn't meant to be today. And Kurt Busch, continuing his lightning hot start to the 2009 season, grabs the checkered flag here in Darlington today. That'll do it for coverage of the Rebel 400, brought to you by Food City here in Darlington. Next time out, it'll be week number 5 as we head to Milwaukee to conclude the early portion of this season. But on behalf of Nate joining me in the booth here tonight, I've been your host, Ken Reif. It's been a pleasure to have you along as always, and we will see you next time, and have yourself a good one.